Hello, I'm Michael with Writer Sanctuary, and today we're talking about Textbroker teams and why you should care. A Textbroker has several different ways you can make money. In the beginning, the most common method is to pull orders right out of the open pool. This is when you click on the Assignments tab and grab whatever piques your interest. However, you can make more money by signing up with teams. So what are Textbroker teams? Teams are a collection of authors created by clients and Textbroker managers. Usually it's for the purpose of completing a large number of orders in a short amount of time. In a nutshell, it's for clients who drop a lot of orders who need them done as quickly as possible. And I'm on a couple of teams that have more than 1,000 authors each. How do you get on teams? Well, the first method is to start applying. When you hover over the Assignments tab, you can see the Team Orders option. When you click on Team Orders, it opens up a new screen where you can apply for teams. In this section, it'll show you what teams you belong to, what teams you have an open application for, and then the last tab on the end is applying for casting calls. And in this screen, it'll tell you how much each team will pay you per word. It'll also show you the number of live orders that are active at the moment and how many authors are on each one. Then all you gotta do is click the team you want to join and fill out their basic application. Some teams will require like a 50-word essay, essentially, on why you deserve to be on that team. Some will use it to get to know you, others will use it to gauge your work to see if you're a good fit for their team. Now, even though you might not get accepted to everything you apply to, it's worth doing it to everything you can. The second best way to get on teams is by demonstrating productivity in Textbroker. One of the reasons why I'm still invited to multiple teams every week is because I have a high number of completed orders and a very quick turnaround. For clients who are developing a team, that's an ideal thing. And some teams will drop thousands of orders every time, so they want them back as quickly as possible. After completing thousands of orders on Textbroker, I'm one of the more sought after. To this day, even though I don't spend a lot of time on Textbroker because of my daily clients, I still get at least 3 or 4 team invitations every week. So it might take a little bit of time to get your numbers up there, but it's worth it in the long run. And the third way to get added to teams is to make sure you have a completed profile. Now, I talked about this in an earlier video, but I can't stress how important a Textbroker profile is, especially if you want to make money on the system. It's not just direct orders that you're trying to aim for, it's these teams. It's not just clients either. Textbroker manages a lot of accounts for major clients. So when these Textbroker managers start searching through the database to find valid authors, your profile is going to make a difference. So what's so important about being on a team? Well, first of all, most teams will pay you more per word than your level. For example, if you're a level 4, you're making 1.4 cents a word. There's a lot of teams out there that'll pay 1.7 and up. So even as a level 3, if you get invited to the right team, you can easily double or triple your money. At one point, as a level 4, I was invited to a level 5 team and making 5 cents a word. I'm not promising that you'll get added to level 5 teams, but when you start showing that you can do the work and that you have a very, very low rejection rate, team managers like that. So it's definitely worth joining a team to make a little bit extra money. Secondly, you'd want to join a team because it increases the workload. There's been lots of days where I'd log into the system and it'd be like absolutely nothing for level 4, but then my teams would have like hundreds of orders for me to do. You get added to an active team and you're constantly in work. So the only excuse you have for not making any money that day is by not writing. In fact, after the first 2 or 3 years of writing for Textbroker, the majority of the work that I did was through teams. Now there are some teams that'll pay you a little bit less than what your level is. Like I'm a level 4, so I make 1.4 cents a word. I also belong on a team that pays 1.3 cents a word. But the trade-off is that these orders are insanely easy to write. And because these orders are so simple, I make far more money per hour than I would otherwise. So yeah, I'm only getting 1.3 cents a word, but the amount of work that I'm processing is incredibly higher. A lot of the time it's just because they give you a single keyword and tell you write whatever you want just as long as you can fit it logically in the content. In this case, it's extremely possible to make about $7 every 5 to 10 minutes. This all depends on how well you know the topic and how fast you can type. So just because a team is willing to pay you less than what your level is, don't think that you're not going to make money on it. I relish the days when the blog team drops all their orders because I make so much money doing those simple orders. So what are the downsides to being on a team? And one of the most common problems for teams is when clients decide not to follow through. So they'll go through the effort of creating a team and adding authors but don't supply any work. It happens quite a bit. That's why I like to join managed teams. Managed teams are clients that contacted Textbroker directly to have them manage the process for them. And usually this guarantees quite a bit of work. Not all the time, but in a lot of cases. Another drawback to being on teams is that sometimes they have some incredibly ridiculous requirements. Their instructions for how to create content can get quite complicated. But if you spend time studying it and practicing it yourself, you start getting into the groove of things. It just takes a little bit longer to start getting into a pattern, and then you can start producing greater levels of content. But I tell you, sometimes it takes a couple hours just to figure out what the hell the client wants. The trade-off to that, though, is that sometimes these more complicated teams will pay you far more per word. So yeah, you'll have to jump through a few hoops and figure out what the hell the client's trying to ask for, but you're well compensated for it if you complete the order. And just because you got added to a team doesn't mean you run the risk of not being rejected. If you run into problems trying to create content for a client on a team, and you can't figure it out, they will boot you from it. Usually the clients or the team managers will give you a few chances to work out your problems. But if you still show a lack of ability in that specific team, they'll get rid of you. And lastly, when you join a team, you're competing against other authors. Which means if a client drops down 50 or 60 orders and there's 100 or so authors waiting for it, the work goes pretty quick. You can't take too long to pick up an order and complete it. Teams are all about productivity, which means you have to be fast if you want to make more money. Because all the other members of that team are going to be doing the same. My advice on managing teams in Textbroker is to apply to as many as you can. The more you sign up with, the greater are the chances you'll have a constant flow of work. Now keep in mind that not all teams will be fruitful, but the more teams you're signed up with, the better off you'll be. Read instructions and requirements thoroughly. Even if it takes you a little bit longer in the beginning to finish an order and submit it, it's worth taking your time and figuring out exactly what you need to do. Otherwise, you'll wind up spending hours on revisions that you could have avoided, and revisions cut into your productivity. The key to Textbroker is being fast and efficient. For example, on one team I spent close to 2 to 3 hours just to complete 2 different orders. Now for me that's an exceptionally long time, but I wanted to make sure that I knew exactly what the client wanted and that I was writing it correctly. At which point each order after that started getting faster and faster. To the point for that particular team I was making about $18 to $20 an hour. Another one of my tips for Textbroker teams is don't be afraid to ask questions. If there's something about the order that you're not sure about, send a message to the team manager or client. Most of them will appreciate the gesture, because most clients and team managers have the same belief I do. It's better to do something right the first time than to spend hours trying to fix a mistake. And lastly, probably the most important piece of advice I can give you for Textbroker teams is to make sure you pick up orders and complete them as efficiently as possible. Remember, teams are based around high productivity. If you want to make money on some of these simple teams and make as much as I do, you got to be fast, because there's a lot of authors on Textbroker that are faster than I am. The other authors on the team are going to drain the work relatively fast. Besides, being fast will help you make more money, and completing orders will make your profile look better when clients start searching for authors. So essentially this can help direct orders as well as team invites. If you find the video informative, hit the like button. If you're new here and you want to learn more about freelance writing, WordPress, or Textbroker, hit the subscribe button. I usually try to publish every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. I think that's going to do it for me today. I'll see you tomorrow.